Attention, everyone. Buckle in. Keep all legs, feet, appendages in the vehicle because we're about to go somewhere where no man or woman has ever gone, but they want to. We're going to talk with the Chyler Zeeman. Chy, so good to have you on. To give a little bit backstory behind Chyler Zeeman. Chyler's a phenomenal sales rep, multi-year now. He's going into his third summer. Chy's been a great team leader, recruiter, and also just an all-around like sales rabbit. Chy's been an example to me as I've seen him kind of come through. I still remember Chy's early days of going out and selling when he was like wondering if he could do it, to now the man that sits before me. So it's good to have him on. I'm excited to learn from you, brother.
Thank you. What an introduction, man. Thank you. Oh, my gosh.
So, dude, Chy, really quick for everyone watching at home, give us a little bit of a recap on you, kind of like where you're from, a little history in the space, and I also want to know if you like ever had like a lemonade stand or anything kind of like that led into your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, interesting. Good question. My name is Chyler. I'm from Payson, Utah. That's where I grew up. Went to Salem High School. Wrestled my whole life since I was probably 10 or so. After that, I went on a 2-year mission. I served in the Philippines and then got reassigned to the East Coast.
I didn't know you were in the Philippines.
Yeah, only for 9 months. Right at that point of loving it, and then I shipped home. That's a crazy story, but
I didn't know that.
Great. That was a great experience. Loved that. Is this good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're chilling.
Let's see. After my mission, came home and just worked with my dad's company, hanging fire sprinklers. Didn't really enjoy that too much. It was fine, and then Zeke, my good friend in high school, he got me into sales, and here we are. Love sales.
Love Zeke too.
Yep, love Zeke. Lemonade stand question. That's a good question.
Can I interject? Yeah. I threw that one out kind of early. So wrestling. So, I mean, this past year, I feel like I went my entire life without knowing a ton about wrestling. But I've learned to respect so many people that like wrestle in high school or just like respect the art or the sport. Kind of talk to me there. I feel like it makes so many gritty sales reps. I've seen so many people that have been like phenomenal kind of like sales reps that got into wrestling. Do you think there's anything that you learned there that you're like, oh, I think this really helped me when I transitioned to the doors?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could go like 40 routes. There's a reason why like you see like the Navy SEALs, like most of them are wrestlers, or like a lot of the successful people, they say they wrestled in high school. Not so much like the experience or how hard it is, but I think mostly, I mean, there's not a lot of other sports that are so solely your responsibility to either win or lose. And then you take that on or off, the mat. If you lose, you hang 100% on your back, or you win, it's 100% on you. And I would even say a step farther than that. Biggest thing about wrestling is the amount of effort you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. I mean, I started wrestling when I was 10, and I always lollygagged until I was about probably 13 or 14. And then I started, doing all year, so from July to July, all the way through. And after that, it was just history. I mean, I got super good at it. I devoted a lot of time, and so I became a lot better. And it really taught me how to endure a lot of hardship, a lot of pain to get an outcome. You know what I mean?
What I love just kind of listening to you talk about that is like accepting complete responsibility for outcomes. I think people have a hard time with that in today's world. Like everyone wants someone to help them build something or to hold them up. And I think one of the cool things about something like wrestling is it teaches you, like, if you want to be successful at something, it's all, if it's meant to be, it's up to me kind of thing.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, I think that this world is getting soft, which is good for me because I think that as long as you stay hard, it's going to be a lot easier to be successful. It's just kind of a matter of when, not if. But absolutely. I mean, on my senior year, I tore my MCL, my first tournament. Finished the tournament. I didn't know it was torn until the next day. I couldn't walk. And then went to the doctor, went through like 2 months, month and a half of rehab, and then came back about 2 tournaments before state. Wrestled, qualified for state, still undefeated that whole time. Got to state, won my first match in state, and then my second match was against a pretty good Uinta kid. I was smoking him. I think it was like 10-2. Yeah, 10 to, it was pretty. He's a good wrestler. It was a good match. And then that was probably like halfway through the match. He singled me, and I came around weird, and he retore my MCL. And
so obviously I know what singled means, like because
one-legger.
Okay.
right on the bad knee. So he had me down at my ankle, and then he was kind of lifting my ankle up and bending my knee, funky, and tore my MCL again. And then I ended up basically stalled out the rest of the match and won by like 1 or 2 points. So it was like 13-10 or something like that. And I couldn't even walk off the mat. My dad had to come down and carry me off the mat, limp me off.
What do they do in that situation? Like, do you they put you on to the next, like?
So I won. So technically, so that was the quarterfinals. I win. So tomorrow I wrestle the next day for the semis, supposedly. And if I win that, I'm in the finals for state. And so I won that one, so I was guaranteed to place at least 6, which, I was glad about because I was a 4-time state placer, which I wanted to be. But I definitely thought I was done, and so did my dad. And it was kind of emotional because my dad he didn't miss a single wrestling match like my whole life. And so he'd always wanted to see me take state. And so it was definitely an emotional drive home because I definitely was done. And I woke up the next day, and it was worse. I couldn't walk at all. And I woke up, and I was like, F it, you only get this one chance. You work so hard for it. You might as well push through and finish her off strong no matter the outcome. So I went and taped up my knee. The UVU physical therapist was like, dude, you can't wrestle, man. That's so stupid. And he's like, I'm going to talk to your parents, I said. And I was 18 at the time, so I was like, it don't matter, I'm 18.
I'm elastic.
And he was actually going to go have my parents say no, but he still tracked down my parents, was like, hey, you shouldn't have your son do this. It could cause some serious damage down the road. And my dad was like, do what he wants. He's 18.
Let's go, dude.
So we wrestled. We beat a kid named Maverick Skinner for the semis, 7-2.
Shout out Maverick.
Yeah, he's a really good wrestler. He beat me bad a couple of years before that, and so it was a good match. And then I won state 6-5 with a torn MCL. So,
dude, let's go. That's freaking sick.
The point of the story was not to boast or anything like that, but it was just to kind of reemphasize that point of, pain is temporary, but if you push through it, the outcome is, endless. You have infinite outcomes. So,
well, and tying that to the doors, there's so many instances when you can be like, and maybe not even MCL level, but like, this went wrong, or this hood's not producing, or there's this problem, this person threw me off. But so much of that story teaches you that, like, as long as you're willing to look at something in a new light, all of a sudden things can change. You'll be successful. The people around you will be too, as long as you can keep the perspective in a kind of a healthy state.
Absolutely. Great comment, Dawes.
No, I love it. No. Thank you, Chy. But so, obviously that toughened you up and kind of like made you into the man that you are. With wrestling and kind of like the mission and also like going out, you've done a lot of hard things. Obviously, though, there's been moments when you probably didn't feel like, I'm crazy capable at this moment. As someone that has done all those things, I think someone listening is like, he probably never has like the downs or the lows that I have with these things. Like a state championship, that's always something that a lot of people wake up and they want. But for you, when those dark days do come, because I know they do, when you're like, hey, I don't necessarily want to like reach out or do this. I don't want to like make this happen. What are things you think about or roll back on to be like, I'm gonna knock even though I've been getting my face kicked in. I'm gonna find a new area for this rep even though he's been complaining and been tough to deal with. What do you do to kind of like when the chips are down? Like, what do you typically think about to like help you kind of push through?
Interesting. Good question, Toss. Good question. Absolutely. First off, absolutely. Like, there's times that I don't want to do stuff, right? Like, we're flying out to Dallas tomorrow on a blitz, man. I'm really nervous. I obviously don't want to go. And, like, obviously this summer, thinking about leaving for 4 months, having to drag my wife, figuring out finances for that. It's like, man, maybe it'd be easier if I just stayed home. But, no, I just get it done. To answer your question, one of my favorite quotes is, you live life with one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And so I always try to choose the pain of discipline. And burn through it so I don't have the pain or regret. If I'm knocking doors and it's 6 o'clock, I'm like, bro, I'm tired. I've got 3 sales. Maybe I'll just be done. I'm going to have regret at the end of the day because I didn't finish it off. Even if I get no more sales, I want to have the pain of discipline because, one, you grow from that, and two, at least I didn't have the pain or regret because I quit something, and not a big fan of quitting things. You know what I mean?
I love that. And what I love about like that difference of like pain and discipline and like choosing the pain of discipline or rather than just choosing regret, like pain and regret. I feel like there's an analogy I once heard where this guy's on a hike and at first he has like everyone's telling him the image of like how it's going to end, like how the hike, like you're going to see the beautiful, you're going to look down in the valley, you're going to see all like the beautiful imagery that is at the end of the hike. And as he gets going in the middle, a lot of times like that's where most of us like kind of buckle out. But in this analogy, that's when all like the tough things, when things roll. But you'll never know what the true vistas look like if you're not willing to climb the mountain and kind of get up and go to that like high point. And I think discipline teaches you that. Like you can imagine what like a peak looks like or what the Grand Canyon is or what so many of these like beautiful natural wonders are. But you can't really see a lot of the natural beautiful wonders of life without that discipline. You can kind of think what they're going to be. You can see like a stock image or stuff like that. But getting there and seeing the image with your own eyes because you worked hard and you made the journey, it's so much more beautiful. Have you seen that where like when you actually got to the place you wanted to go, whether it was in wrestling, in summer sales, on your mission, was the end of the road way better than you thought it was going to be kind of going in? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question too. Obviously the answer is yes. I mean, I hiked Kings Peak last August, and we got almost to the top, and we took our dog Tough, and it was rocky at the top. I don't know if you ever hiked Timpanogos or Kings.
Yeah.
You know, like how you kind of get to that top and it just gets sheer rock.
Yeah.
Pretty similar with Kings, obviously. And so Tough couldn't do it, and so I was like, maybe I'll just stay right down here. It's basically the top.
How long is Kings?
Long. I think it's 18 miles. No. Oh, what is it? I think it's 8 miles up, 8 miles down, so 16 miles.
Oh wow, that's a good little trek.
Good little hike, and most of it's flat until you have to like hike back into the mountain, then hike the mountain. So like the mountain hike is only 4 up, 4 down, I think, but it's just a long straight to get back there. But I was like, man, I'll just stay like right here, and then I ended up just saying, no, I want to get to the top. It's another 30, 40 minutes, and experiencing that is obviously so good. You know what I mean? But to expand on like kind of what you were saying, I think this summer and what I've struggled in the past and what I want to work on this summer is more enjoying the present, like when you're on a hike, you just want the top, the peak, and then you get there and it's like a high for a second, then you're like, okay, next thing. I think this summer I really want to focus on every day just going out and having a good time and a good attitude. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll be a lot more successful, at least I hope, because instead of having a bad attitude waiting for a result, I'm going to have a good attitude all the way through, and then the result is just going to be an added bonus. I think that's kind of my goal.
Yeah.
This summer.
No, I love that. And living in the present, which is basically what that is I think so hard for a lot of people, but the few who find it that are good at being like, I'm going to be in the here and now. I'm going to enjoy this moment. I'm going to look at the roses, smell them if I need to. They're just so much more, they're so much happier. And I heard something recently. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. But basically it went, it's right on this tangent. It was a Tony Robbins quote. I actually really liked it.
I've been doing Tony Robbins priming the past week.
And?
I like it. I think I need to keep doing it. I'm inconsistent. Once I get a little better schedule with the summer, it'll be better. But I like it so far. It's an interesting steps. I like the breathing part, and I like his different perspective on meditation. How it's like a visualization of it happening currently, which is super fun. I like it. And he doesn't say like visualize it. He says visualize like how it feels, which I like. So it's like and then he's like focus on the feeling and like feel you getting that goal and achievement, which I kind of like.
Yeah,
it's an interesting way.
Well, and one thing that I love that he kind of teaches is like, I think a lot of times people are like, just feel happier or just think rosier. But like, a lot of times human bodies are complex. Like, and he teaches you a lot of different ways of how to like actually get the chemicals in your body moving in a positive way with moving around or doing the proper morning routines or doing different things that just put you in the right place to be able to go out and be successful.
Mm.
Is there any morning routine that you might have, Chai, that you're like,
Gosh.
during the summer, this gets me right. Like, this helps me, like, sell well. Or maybe it's one you've learned recently that you're like, I'm excited to push this one out next summer.
I think I'm not the best salesman by any means, but I think any success that I did have was definitely attributed all glory to God, probably 100%. But my morning routine usually was the same. Every morning I'd wake up and I always first pray and then read the scriptures, and then I do a thing called positive in the present. I started in high school, actually. Our principal would have us do it every day, and then I've just kind of always carried it on. I do 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I usually do 3 goals. I'll write them down, like just like simple goals, like help somebody, and then I'll usually pray for those goals to happen. They're usually like goals to help others, usually, and then I would say that my morning routine in that aspect would help a lot, because instead of like praying usually for success and like sales, I would usually pray for opportunities to serve on the doors. And I mean, every time, like most doors, if they were nice to me, I'd ask to, like, if their trash was full, if I could take it out. And sometimes they would say yes, or like I would help them. I helped this dude for like an hour move some trees, and I didn't get a sell from it. It's just I think that helped me feel fulfilled and helped me keep going and helped me feel like I was doing something good, even though I was just selling pest control, because I had an opportunity to serve and show the light of Christ. And so I'd say, all glory to God. That's awesome. I like being able to serve people.
No, I love it. And I think at the end of the day, like it's like, oh, we're just doing pest control right now. We're just doing like any kind of job. Like at the end of the day, like this life's about becoming. It's about becoming more of yourself, closer to God, and kind of like learning and growing. And I think if you can kind of hone into that, where it's like, hey, like I am doing this right now, but there's a greater purpose. And if you can kind of keep that greater purpose in the back of your head, I think it makes everything just like flow so much better. Mm-hmm. And praying is obviously a way to do that. And I like how you said that you would write down 3 things you're grateful for. There's actually a close, like a gratitude close, which I think would be kind of fun to talk about right here, just to kind of add it in. Expressing gratitude for your customer or for things that are going on around you, it changes how you think, but it also changes how your customer thinks. A lot of times customers will get negative in a sale just because it's a natural rhythm for them. They'll be like, oh, I don't like this part, or I don't like that. But being able to spin the negative to the positive just with your words and kind of like expressing gratitude yourself, people just hearing how grateful someone else is for something, or how grateful a neighbor has been, or other stuff like that, it'll actually change their state. So a lot of times, like when I'm out selling someone and someone starts dogging on the service, they'll be like, oh, I don't know if I like that part, or da-da-da-da. I'll be like, oh yeah, I know for sure. And Kathy, and I won't talk about the part that they just dogged on, but I'll go like, Kathy, her other favorite part about this was she got so excited about like the fact that we clean out the eaves, we put a product up behind where they wouldn't come back. And in her, she was just like, oh, this is so nice because I won't be able to have this issue. My house will look nice. But people hearing others expressing gratitude will actually change the way that they think and feel. And a lot of times people will go throughout life in their rhythm or their regular day-to-day, and they'll go on so long without hearing people like express gratitude or like express thanks, and they're in a rut. But if you can be a salesman that goes and kind of like is kind of that light that pushes like, hey, like, yeah, like this is great, and like, and obviously you're pushing a service, but helping them even feel that like chemical change, I think is really, 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 really big. Mm-hmm. But kind of in closing and stuff like that, what are some of your favorite closes?
Favorite closes? I don't know. I've been working on my pitch with my wife, preparing for Dallas. Let me think. My favorite closes, I usually go, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's just bugs. I mean, everybody's got it in Texas. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like a pretty good deal, right?
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and do it. And then I'd just probably hand him my iPad and just have him start filling out information.
I like that one a lot because it's like a no-brainer close
Mm-hmm.
mixed with like a yes train, because it's like so hard to say no to that. Like yeah, especially when you got like the chai, like the chai voice with like the head nod. I like it a lot.
I like the ones that are that make them feel like they're making a good choice, or like at least help them build up to seeing better things that we do, and then being like, hey, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, you really liked how we did the yard with the granules, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, your company doesn't do that right now. Just kind of an upgrade. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you want like the Nikes of pest control, and that's us. So let's go ahead and get you taken care of. What's a good last name? And just super confident. I think a big thing that I changed last summer that Zeke kind of taught me was confidence on your closing confidently, and then just kind of waiting for them to answer and not saying anything until they answer is super important.
Let's say, I mean, obviously going into year 3, you have a lot of like veteran experience that a lot of people are going to be looking to on the leaderboard, whether if they're in a different city from you or just in your office. What's some things that are some like helpful tips or tricks you've learned in the past couple of years, like in your sales cycle, from intro to pricing, service to paperwork, that you're like, oh, I've learned this past year, and I wish I would have known this in years earlier, and I'd like to pass this on to somebody else?
Shoot. Good question. Intro, I would say for the intro is don't be fake. I think a lot of salesmen will put on, if you're not a happy person in general, which I'm not usually like a bubbly person, don't try to put on this, hey, how's it going? You know, just be yourself on the doors, because they can read that authentic, but make sure that you have a good higher energy so they can also kind of rise to that and feel like your enthusiasm. I think when I get down on the doors and I start getting my teeth kicked in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Good, you know? And they can just read that, and then I won't get any sales. But the days that I'm rolling, you know, getting 5, 6, 7, 8 sales, my pitch is the same the whole time, because my intro is, hey, how's it going? Good, brother, good. And just Dallin does a good thing. I'd say the second thing is incorporating your personality into it. Dallin Clements and Evan Williamson are super good at that.
Yes.
Making jokes and
those guys do make a lot of jokes that are fun.
You know, being yourself is super important. I think if you just follow this mundane pitch, they just see right through it. I mean, they've heard it a million times. I practiced with my wife the other day, and she's like, I really like how even though I was being a fake person, you identified with that person and made a connection, and we walked away as friends with this fake person, which I think is important, just being yourself and not doing a mundane pitch, but just kind of learning the basics skeleton and then adding your spice into it.
One thing I love that you said right there, kind of towards the beginning, is like just being real. We live in a world where people are dying for real marketing. Did you see Yeezy's, like his Super Bowl commercial, Kanye West? He put out a commercial basically just of him where he videoed himself and just said that he had like merch. People went ballistic. It was $7 million for the ad, but he ended up making $22 million in sales. So it was crazy, and people keep talking about it. But basically, what I got from it is like people just like the fact that Kanye West is going to be Kanye West, and people can tell that he's just being him, and so they're willing to like jump on board with that. Now, I'm not saying like I'm a huge Kanye West fan. I'll let anyone like listening decipher whether I am or whether I'm not. But one thing that I learned from that is just authentic marketing. People love it; they eat it up. And so I think a lot of times kids will say, well, I don't honestly feel that excited about pest control, or I don't honestly feel great today, so maybe I shouldn't sell. And I don't think that's the question to say. I ask, it's like, how can I get myself in a place where I can authentically show up here well? Because in life, you're going to go through so many different places where you're not going to feel it or want to do it, or it's not your favorite thing in the world. But how can you authentically get through it in a way that is true to you, and also positively transferring energy?
Yeah, I think that comes with just selling, especially too. I mean, I'm sold on BRD. I was at the movies the other day, an Aptiv commercial come up. I'm like, and they need to come sign with BRD.
Throw the popcorn. Yeah.
I sold my dad's friend. My dad told my friend told my dad that he needed pest control, and my dad was like, "Oh, my son sells," and he's like, "Here's a number." Texted him. He's like, "Holy cow!" I pitched him like a 139 quarterly or 149. And he's like, that's so much more expensive than my company. He's like, I'm like $70 a quarter. I'm like, dude, just give us a shot. I'm sure you'll like us. And it's funny too, because I truly believe that at this stage of my life, because I really do believe BRD is the best. But he texted my dad, I think like a couple weeks ago, and was like, hey, by the way, like the issue, I think it was grasshoppers or something, completely gone. And like I was like,
let's go.
It just makes you believe in your company. And even when you have like the people calling like, hey, I've seen some bugs, what's nice is because we are such a good company, you just call us, we'll come out and take care of it for free. And then after that, usually don't call again. It takes a couple treatments. But I think truly believing, like you said, if you truly believe in what you're selling, even if it is just pest control, if you believe that it's making a difference and taking care of some stress off their life, you'll sell a lot better.
I love that. And one thing you kind of said too that I like there too is like where I'm at now. And obviously in the beginning, maybe you're not 100% sold on things. And I've been there too. Like I've been there in investing. I've been there in starting my business. I've been there in working for other people. There's so many different times when I've come to the beginning of the trail and I wasn't like skipping and singing and happy and like this is where I want to go. But just having enough like faith and patience to be like, oh, okay, we're just gonna start down this path. If it's wrong, I'll take it off. But being willing to like look past the present moment, remember what my goal is, and kind of move forward. Eventually, when you are looking back, Steve Jobs has a quote that I love that he says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can always connect them looking backward." And so a lot of times, before I will walk away from a decision or decide if I'm going to do something, I kind of allow myself, give it a trial run. A lot of places do that. It's the puppy dog close. Like if you're willing to try something out, a lot of times like more information helps you make better decisions. And so anyone out there listening, I think if you're out struggling at the beginning of the summer, or if you're struggling this week or anything like that, like a lot of times just taking action and kind of moving forward, I think creates that belief that like, oh, I do love it. It's awesome. One thing that I've always noticed about you though, that I want to talk about, and I kind of want to say this to everyone listening as well. I think people don't understand how closely I'm tracking everyone that is out selling. I know a lot of times I might not feel like that. But one thing that I want to just like commend you or just tip my hat to is I will check on the app and I can see how many times people are logging in or every time someone touches the iPad, it actually goes to a server, which then can notify us how active people are. And you were in your time selling, you were in the top 5 most active people on Pest Routes. And so, and obviously that transitioned because you were one of our top reps. And so I just want everyone out there listening that like, if you are willing to just show up, participate, put your head down and work, you will end up being a successful salesman like Chyler Zeeman. Like you're going to go out and you're going to be successful and you're going to have, so I just respect anybody that like can just show up at a high level like you do. So if anyone's out there listening, make it your goal this year to have more clicks on the iPad. Don't just sit there and just tap it all the time. But you were one of the people that like logged in and was clocking in the most. And I saw that on the Excel sheet at the end of the year when we were cutting your back end.
That's awesome to hear. Okay. I would just say if you're thinking about selling, come sell. And if you know how to work hard, come sell with me, because I'm not the best salesman. I don't have the most knowledge, but I know how to work hard. And there's a reason why I do semi-decent is because I know how to work hard, which is 70% of this job.
Yes.
So if you know how to work hard, you're going to do great. And if you go out and say, screw it, it's 4 months of my life, let's just give it my all 4 months. And when my boss drops me off until he picks me up, I'm going to knock. You're going to do phenomenal this summer. It's going to start off slow, but you're going to pick up and you're going to do great. So.
Chai, I'm interested to know this. What are some of your favorite things you're consuming? Books, movies, podcasts?
I'm reading Think Like a Monk. Think Like a Monk by Jay Chyler, I think. I just started it, and I'm loving it.
Cool.
I'm trying to. I struggle with like some mental problems, and so I'm trying to learn different ways that I can, like the priming and stuff like that, to try and start my days off better and fix some negative self-talk. And so I like that.
I'm going to have to get that one. I like that a lot. Think Like a Monk?
Think Like a Monk. I think you'll like it. I'm only about 40 pages in. I'm not the fastest reader, but yeah, I love it so far. really good. He becomes a monk. Well, I can't remember what he was going to do. I think it was law or something. And then he's like, during the summers, he said, screw it, I'm going to go and train with the monks. And now he's like a full-time monk and pretty cool guy. I like it. Other things I like consume. Yeah, I'm a movie guy too. Me and my girl, we love movies, and we play a little Fortnite, me and my wife, at the end of the night. We got like 6 Victoria rows last night, so we're up to like 1 a.m.
Dude, and she's good.
She's getting better. I carry her a little bit. She'll be mad that I said that. But last night, she'll be happy that I say that she did so good last night.
Hey, let's go.
Sometimes I get a little frustrated. I'm like, Maddie, shoot, but she's getting better.
Okay, so Chai, you're like, and I've been meaning to touch on this the whole pod. I was like, okay, I'll get into it in a sec, but I want to make sure we give the wife her roses or flowers. You just got married not too long ago.
Yes, sir. 2 months yesterday or 2 days ago.
Cool.
5th.
And so the love story. Can we hear it really quick? Can we hear like how you met her, all that stuff?
So end of my first summer, I went to a company that started cleaning cars. I hated it. I was getting paid horrible, didn't love it, and so I was like, man, and something just felt wrong. Like you said, you got to give something a shot. But I was like, man, this doesn't feel right. And I really liked pottery, and I was waiting for my back end so I could do something I enjoyed. Mm. So right when my back end hit, like halfway through December or so, I was like, I'm getting a new job. So I found a pottery job, and I applied for one in Orem. It was like Villa Ceramics, and they loved me. And I applied for them before the summer, and they're like, dude, come work for us. And so I applied to them again when I was looking for the job, and they're like, dude, like, we're full now. So I was like, frick. And so I found another one in Pleasant Grove. I'm like, it's pretty far away. I was like, screw it, I'm going to give it a shot. And so I did. And then the first day I worked with some random girl, and then the second day of work, I worked with my future wife. And first time I saw her, I knew that she was someone special to me. And
that's awesome.
She says the same thing, and we fell in love right then. And we went and got drinks that night, and then the rest is history.
Same night you met her?
Yeah, we went and got a drink after work, and then she was hesitant at first, man. She's made all the big decisions in our relationship, but only because when I've tried to make the big decision, she said no. So I was very slow to kiss Maddie, very slow. I think it was the 7th or 8th date, which is unlike me. And so I was very nervous. And then she actually kissed me for the first time on our 8th date. So it was after like a month or over a month of dating, which was different for me for sure.
She just wanted to be sure that you really liked her.
I wanted to make sure that she knew that I loved her for her and not for anything like that. And so I wanted to make sure that I did things right this time. And then same thing with dating. I asked her to be my girlfriend on Valentine's, and she said no. But she said yes. And then she was like, actually, I feel like we're moving. It was like a month and a half of us dating, so it was a little quicker. And she was like, I feel like things are moving a little too quick. I was like, no worries. And then the next day, she asked me to be her boyfriend. And then, all the major decisions she's always asked me besides the marriage question. So
I love it. If you're listening, if you get told no, just keep hanging around, see what happens.
That's right. Yeah. When she's that beautiful, you can't leave her, you got to keep trying.
I love it, Chai. Chai, you're the man. Dude, it was fun having you on the pod.
Yeah, thank you.
Shout out to you, to the lady, all that good stuff. Chai, I've just loved working with you, brother. I'm hoping a lot of people tuned in. You dropped a lot of really good nuggets on this pod, and we'll go out.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Love you.
Good chat.